High above Twin Ring Motegi, we follow Kevin Fanning diving into turn number one for round two of the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge. Chad Irvine here with me in the booth as always. This season going to be Matt Kingsbury, and Matt, we've seen some interesting stuff out of qualifying. It's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out.
Yeah, this is a wonderful racetrack, and in practice already we've seen some pretty competitive times. Uh, Big thing for me is Blake Reynolds with that massive 49.9, 1 minute 49.9 second lap. I haven't seen anyone turn a lap that fast here in a long time, and he's the only one in that second bracket, so quite a lap time.
Yeah, Sarah Rad that was on a had an interesting race last week is currently sitting in the second spot. This is look at Blake driving deep down the hill. The final couple of corners, a very tricky complex to this course. But Sarah, we talked about her ventures last week. Tried pushing too hard, then underfueled the car, and ended up not getting the finish that she wanted. But she was promoted based on her lap times and her overall performance from the AM to the pro class. So that's going to be the only change, I think, in classes for drivers coming into today's event. But right now, she is just about 2/10 off of Blake Reynolds as we get closer and closer here in qualifying to wrapping things up as we get set for 15 minutes in the sprint and then 45 minutes in the feature.
Yeah, still a few cars have to set laps. Marwan Mafta, one of those. Brian Smith, Daniel Supansky, Navarre, and Jeffrey Wallace.
Yeah, so you see the timing on the left side of your screen. A bunch of drivers, they're either not having the best laps compared to what they were showing in practice or just not able to put a time down yet. The slowest driver right now that has set a time, Josh Mertz, fearless leader. You can catch him on Monday nights over in the Rallycross series, and that's another series where you can catch Matt in the car and might show up for a race or two here and there this season.
Yeah, currently watching Marwan Mafta on track, looking to set his first timed lap. He's got a pretty decent lap going together here. Could see him jump up to about mid-table.
Yeah, that's about where he was in practice, and from listening to him and some of his teammates talk during the pre-race, they were trying real hard to just kind of get every little bit that they could out of the race car, and he's part of that huge stable of last lap motorsports cars. I think they've got looks like 7 drivers here tonight across 2 teams, and they've got Josh Klog actually stepping into the car for the big dog tonight, playing the substitute role there for Josh, and he's going to be driving that number 6 yellow lightning bolt. I don't know what you want to call it, machine, but that's a look at him as he continues to work his way around here.
Yeah, a very nice car. Like I said last week, one of my favorites. Last Up Motorsports actually has 3 teams here with the Audi team, the Porsche team, and the Ferrari team. So, yeah, very strong team. They've got 2 in the Audi, I believe. I don't think I see their third driver. I don't see Brian Son today. So, definitely only 2, maybe 3 drivers if we have. Yeah, I don't see their third or fourth drivers here for that team. So
Yeah,
we do have Lambert, Taylor, Carroll, Cody Crossgrove, Josh Klog in the Ferraris and Porsches, Marwan Mafta in a Porsche, and I believe that's it. You know what? Kieran Forrest missing out, and I think it's yeah, they're missing 2 other cars too.
And by the way, something I just noticed looking at the timing chart, in the top 8, we've got 2 Mercedes, 2 Audis, 2 Ferraris, and 2 Porsches. So definitely the wide mix up at the top of the timing charts as these guys continue to work their way here around for qualifying. There's a couple of drivers actually on some pretty fast laps. This is Sarah Rab. She's just now finishing her lap, it looks like. Does she improve? Ray Kingsbury just pipped her for the second spot. And she does not improve? Or maybe I'm getting my sections of the track. No, that was not the finish line. So she did improve on her last lap, though, to a 150.1.
She improved, but Ray jumped her by about a tenth there, and she improved by just, I think, like a quarter. Yeah, about a quarter of a tenth.
Yeah, a couple other drivers. Oh, there she goes,
She's around.
pushing it a little too hard there.
It's gonna be the end of her qualifying because it takes way too long to get around here. So that's definitely the end for many of their sessions. We got Ray Kingsbury still on a lap, but he just put it wide, so that won't be a lap for him. Cody Crossgrove currently on a lap. He's one that I'm gonna watch. He's either on a lap or he's on an out lap right now, but he's one that could jump up a few spots. We saw him in the top 5 in practice.
And a couple other drivers have gotten their times in further down the table, but right now Taylor Carroll, he's about a tenth up now over his previous best. He's at a 150.9, good enough for the 6th spot right now. It looks like he just pipped into the... Nope, he's back down into the green, so setting his fastest sectors for the time being, but he's got to finish this lap strong as he continues to work his way around this very long and winding course.
Yeah, the big thing that catches my eye here is the top 3 are pretty close, obviously, and there's a pretty sizable gap down to 4th. But once we do get to 4th with Kevin Fanning, we got a nice tight field, all the way back to Peter Houston that are within a second. So, looking to be a pretty competitive race.
Under 30 seconds left here in qualifying. Couple of drivers trying to squeeze another lap in. We'll have to see if they can get that done. This is Sarah Rabb down the hill. She actually might get across the line. It's going to be close to whether this lap or if she will get across in time. She's got 20 seconds to get to the line. You just got to sweep it around to the right here, and then she's on the front straightaway. Will she get to the start-finish line in time?
Yeah, she will.
The question. And with 5 seconds left, yep, she is across. So she's got one more shot at this.
Yeah, I've currently got my eye on Peter Houston. He's another one making a lap right now.
Oh, I
just
thought that...
lost.
Nope.
No, so I guess that was the countdown to the end.
I thought that you still had time to finish the current lap that you were on, but I guess...
I think that's only if it's a lap-based one. If it's a time-based one, it ends it right away.
I thought that it was the other way around. But anyway...
Yeah, that's something I do dislike. If you start in real racing, if you start the time, the lap, it lets you finish it. But in iRacing, it's not the case.
So here's a look at the starting grid for tonight's Motegi mashup as Blake Reynolds takes the pole with Ray Kingsbury on the outside of row 1. Got Sarah Rabb and Kevin Fanning. Brandon Lambert, Taylor Carroll, row 3. Then Josh Klog, Cody Crossgrove, Peter Houston, Navarre Luce, and Marwan Mafta, Seth Rawls rolling up in the 12th spot. Further down back is Tim Brokaw and Josh Mertz. Crutchley and Dunbar, row 8. Then Jeffrey Wallace, Daniel Saponsky there on row 9. Brian Smith all on his lonesome in shotgun 19th. And there's a look at our field sitting behind the safety car, getting ready to get rolling here. Just waiting on a couple of drivers left to hop in, as it looks like slowly but surely they're working their way to the grid. There you see just a couple of gaps there further back in the field. Yep, just about everybody is in, and we are getting ready to go rolling here.
I do want to talk about this race course. It's a very different circuit than most people are used to. It's got a nice balance between trail braking zones and a lot of straight line braking. This circuit's situated over in Asia, in Japan, so very nice racetrack.
And it gets its name from twin ring Motegi, as there's 2 circuits. This is the road course. There's also an oval circuit that they use, or used to use, for IndyCar, I believe, after an earthquake back in 2012 or 13. It's unfortunately, the oval is no longer feasible. So it's currently just kind of sitting there. But the road course is still in prime condition. We get set to have these drivers work their way around for the 15-minute sprint race here. There will be the inversion as well when we get set to go to the feature. But these drivers all getting set. As we wait for the green, Blake Reynolds leaves them way down here, and the green flag is out from Twin Ring Motegi. Round number 2 of the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge, and there you see Reynolds out in front clear. Rab with the move up the inside, and then Kingsbury, not the best start from him. He immediately drops to third, and he's feeling some pressure from Kevin Fanning back behind him as well.
Yeah, Sarah got a pretty good start on him, and then obviously with being a right-hand corner, double apex right-hand corner, he was left out to dry there, so dropping down a spot. We got some battles in the mid-pack here, still too wide in many spots with Marwan Mafta, Peter Houston.
That's Seth Rawls in the 125, that green and red car. Thought about making a move to the inside. A log jam, the accordion effect under braking there, but so far everybody's single file, now kind of sorted out for the time being. They're kind of just taking it in and trying to feel out these race cars on the lighter fuel load.
Currently the whole field is single file, but some very close action there as we see Tim Brokaw setting up a run on Marwan Mafta, about to make the dive into the hairpin.
And you say the hairpin, but there's about 4 or 5 of them. And that's what makes this course pretty unique. You have some long straightaways, so you kind of need to find that balance between your wing settings and you just find that balance in the wing and in the suspension to kind of make sure that the car is able to handle those slower speed corners at the racetrack, but also at the same time you have to make sure that you are not losing too much time down the straightaways.
Oh, issues there for it looks like Curtis Critchley loses a spot to Marwan Mafta down the front stretch. You got very sideways going into the chicane there, the final corner. Very tough spot. If you got to be under trail braking there, so you're turning while braking, and you just lost the rear end there.
Yeah, there you see trying to get the move done. That's now Josh Mertz right behind him, and trying to just kind of figure out what these guys do. They're still kind of starting to settle in as the front 3 have kind of spaced themselves out by about half a second from Reynolds to Rab, then Rab to Kingsbury. Reynolds very close there on a corner exit and still trying to find his way by. You see him rocking the Cintas color. It's a change over from Best Buy, the car that he used to run, because he switched companies not long ago, and he always loves to rep his employers, so he's out there repping the 81. I see him flashing his lights. I think he's not happy with the... Now is that Brokaw in front of him, I believe.
2 by 2 through the S's, Peter Houston, Cody Crossgrove. Crossgrove defends the position, holds off. Peter Houston going to take a look on the outside here, going down into one of the corners. Going to try to set up another runoff and get the dive down into the hairpin. Not close enough yet.
No, and he peeks to the inside there. Almost a defensive blocking move from Houston, but I think that Crossgrove is able to pull it off. He is. But this straightaway right here, this is an interesting one. It's probably one of my favorite braking zones on the course, because you see him diving down the hill. There's a significant drop in elevation, so you have to back up your braking zone from where you would expect it to be by about 50 or so feet, and you just... that little bit of elevation change kind of forces the car to oversteer in the corner, or understeer in the corner.
Yeah, you got to hit the brakes there about 125 meters mark, I'd say. And you got to get down to, I think it's around 75 or 70 miles an hour. And it's so deceptive, because you got to get it down on speed to make the corner, but then you can accelerate very, very early out of it because it's sort of banked. So it's a very deceptive corner, hard to get right.
By the way, up front, looks like Sarah Rav is caught right back up to the rear wing of Blake Reynolds. I think Blake might have made a mistake, because it looks like the gap from them back to Kingsbury hasn't changed. Unfortunately, it looks like some connection issues for Rab as well. She dives to the inside. Reynolds goes to the outside. I think that he's just trying to feel things out and see what he has to do in traffic, because don't forget, we have that inversion here today. Now, so these guys need to kind of get acclimated to running in traffic. And Reynolds still just kind of fighting, trying to make some moves and slicing and dicing. But right now, it's a Rab to the point. As then Reynolds and Kingsbury.
That's interesting. I don't know if that's because he'd rather have the pull for or a higher up spot for the feature, or if if he's that confident he can get back around her. But that's a ballsy move right there because she's no slouch of a driver.
Yeah, it's still 10 minutes to go, 1/3 of the way through this sprint race, and there you see him swerving, trying to just stay in the slipstream as long as possible. And the thing with that is, you just have to see almost a contact there. That was very close from Reynolds, trying to get right back up. We'll go on board here with Reynolds. There you see how close he's getting under some of these braking zones. But that launch off the corner, you try to use all of that curving on the left-hand side. As they continue to work their way around here. Just the biggest thing for me, I think, if you're Reynolds is, like I mentioned earlier, just trying to feel out how the car operates in traffic, in dirty air. Of course, the fuel load is going to be different, but we've seen these two, and as well as some of the guys behind them, was battling very hard the last couple of seasons. So continuing to work our way now, under 9 minutes to go.
The battle is on for 7th place. Peter Houston is closing rapidly on Josh Klog as he struggles to get to grips with the Porsche.
Yeah, and he was thrown in not too long ago for him, so he's got he's pretty green. I'm not sure how much practice he was able to get in this week to run this car for the team, but able to get some points going out there. As it looks like we're pretty single file throughout the field. But for the time being, still Sarah Rabin leads Blake Reynolds. And Blake, Rab, something happens to Rab. She's lost a couple spots. She went around, significant damage. We'll see if we can't figure out what happened.
Spin in the back also. Daniel Saponsky go around. Slight contact from William Dunbar. Nothing major. Able to keep going.
There's a look at the instant that took Rab out. We saw her lose it there in qualifying as well. That corner can be very difficult, and you see that significant damage to the rear wing there on the number 31 Audi car for Last Lap Motorsports, and these guys are battling pretty
Josh
hard.
Mertz has got something very wrong there. He was just off the track. He does have some damage. He was coming up through the S's and saw Daniel Saponsky spun and drove it across the grass, trying to dodge him, and almost wrecked it again.
Yeah, he's still out there, though, and he's got one car behind him. That's Critchley. Those two are for position, but they're well off of just about anybody else in front of them. Sarah Rab now works her way into the pits, so it looks like she is going to start from the back, and I think the biggest thing for her is going to be, it's an 18-car invert, I believe, or sorry, 15-car invert, and there's 19 cars, so she's going to have a lot of work to do to be able to do anything out there, but she's not going to be starting too far behind some of the other drivers that she's going to be competing with.
Yeah, I'm a little caught out by where she lost it. I've never had an issue with the car spinning there. So I wonder how much if she was loose and then hit it. I'm not really sure because they might be running very little traction control. But whenever I've dropped a tire there, the car seems to just not want to accelerate.
Well, she didn't drop a tire when she spun there either. It was just some oversteer on corner exit. Maybe the track falls away just a little bit. But yeah, it seemed like snap oversteer because she's lost it there a couple times. Yeah, there is a drop in elevation at that corner where she lost it. So I think that maybe she just tried to pick up the throttle too soon and the back end came around. But that's the second time we've seen her do that in this session. She's probably,
I had to go back and check it. She actually put both right side tires on the grass. So
okay.
I'm not sure if she definitely got a little loose, but she definitely threw. As soon as she went to get on the curb, it got a little loose, and then obviously the tires were already going under the grass, so it made it worse. She is back out on track though. She's gonna see if she can get back up to 15th. So, I don't know I don't think she lost a lap. So it's possible she can get back up there. Maybe she had a meatball flag she had to serve. Yeah, but it's a tall ass. She's got very little time left to make up any ground.
Yeah, with 5.5 minutes left, she's got to make up about 30 seconds or 25 seconds or so. So she could make up a position or two, but she's going to have some mistakes from some drivers in front of her to do anything with. This is, look back up here. This is for the 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is Crosgrove, Clog, and Luce. They're all battling pretty hard, and they're not far off of Peter Houston as well.
Yeah, well, Peter Houston and Cody Crosgrove has just gotten around Josh Clog over the last few laps, and they're looking to set pace and pull away to try to get back up to the front. Interesting to note, though, their lap time is all very similar, but Josh Clog has seemed to have been struggling on the longer run here. First lap was very similar to theirs, but since then he's dropped off to the mid-52s.
And the interesting thing for me, I think, just going back to some of the performances we've seen out of Sarah Rabb, is what you have the experience in these cars. What you both ran in the GT4s in the M-Tech series and now here in GT3s. Is there a significant difference to the car that might change things from the GT4 to the GT3?
Yeah, I think there is. For me, at least, with the GT4s, it felt like I had to almost throw the car around to make it fast. It doesn't have a lot of power. It has a surprising amount of grip considering it has very little downforce. But it really felt like you could throw that car around. So I think that is a change. You know, with the GT3s, they have traction control obviously too, but you don't really throw them around. You gotta finesse them. I mean, you can throw them around. Don't get me wrong, but you gotta balance that. You can't just be running aggressive attack mode all the time because they have so much more horsepower. If you lose it, you are going to destroy the car.
Now about 2 laps to go, maybe 3 laps to go, depending on when they come across the line. But they continue to work out here at Twin Ring Motegi, and we talked about our format a little bit, but 15-minute sprint. These drivers will have about a 10-minute warm-up in between races, and then they will switch over to the 45-minute feature with the inversion as well. So definitely going to be fun to watch how this plays out for everybody tonight, and yeah, it's going to be a fun season of racing as well here with race number 2 of the season.
Battle is on for position number 4. Kevin Fanning under assault from Taylor Carroll as he looks to size up the move here down into the, I don't know what corner this is. Chad, do you know what number this one is?
I think that's turn 6. I'll say the last time I called a race here was in, I want to say like November, and I knew them all back then, but for this one I couldn't tell you.
I just drive the car really fast usually when I race, so I memorize what the corners look like. I don't really know what they're called usually, but coming down into the deep brake zone downhill, and he's got a little bit of a gap, but if you look ahead, there is Brandon Lambert there, possibly backing up a little bit. Not sure if he had a mistake. So potentially a battle here for the podium positions is on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially because fighting this late for position this deep into the sprint, I mean, you're going to be, yes, the points do count a little more this season, but I mean, that's going to impact your starting spot in the feature as well. So if you're Taylor Carroll, you might consider not going by, even if you think you have him on pace, because that way you don't have to get by him again in the feature.
Yeah, definitely a good point. I think with the points on tap, though, if you can get to 4th and then get to 3rd, it might be worth it because it's a little bit more of a step up from the 3rd place.
Yeah, so Reynolds still out in front now by about half a second or so over Ray Kingsbury, and then Brandon Lambert 5 seconds off of him. So pretty large gap there from 2nd to 3rd. But that battle for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot, not anything to look away from for the moment. There are a couple other close battles, and we'll get to those as we see them. But right now, it looks like it's Blake Reynolds' race to lose. Further on back as well, just about everybody separated by about a second. Oh, and 3 cars around there. It's a significant contact, and Taylor Carroll goes wide. This is going to let everybody in front of them recollect. Let's go back to the replay here, see what happened.
That was weird. So Taylor did nothing wrong. Brandon and Kevin both lost in the same corner in the same exact way, as if there was oil down on the track.
Yeah, that was interesting because both cars just kind of looped it. I think that the second car in line there might have just kind of been in reaction to the cars in front of him, but now it looks like Jeffrey Wallace has had an incident. He's dropped down a couple of spots, but he is. Uh,
That is a weird one, and it doesn't look like they did much wrong. I mean, they broke at a normal spot. It just looks like the car rotated for Brandon there on the turn in, and then he just got oversteer. That's super weird. And then definitely agree with you that Kevin may have just hit the brakes a little hard in anticipation of what had happened in front of him.
yeah, that's something that we'll have to watch for as the race continues. Now 10 seconds back from second to third. This is the battle, though, for the sprint race win. As we work the final lap there, you see Kingsbury flashing his lights a little bit, sitting back in line, though, and there you see all the racetrack back behind him. I think that he's going to have to make his move soon because he is definitely going to be running out of time. There's only one or two more good passing zones left to try it.
Yeah, and as we say that, the battle for third through, 8th place here, 7th place here, all really close, 9th place even, all under a blanket. So that wreck tightened things up. Thankfully, all those drivers able to carry on. But Lambert still leads. Not sure if he got any. It doesn't look like he has any damage, but Crossgrove definitely did. Houston is charging on him. Imagine those tires are overheated, so he might be able to get a lunge down here into the deep braking zone in the downhill.
This is a look at the penultimate. This is the final long straightaway. This is the corner that Kingsbury has to make his move here on the final lap, but he is way too far back to try to get anything done as he closes up the gap but is not able to do anything with it as they come through the final left-hand corner up the hill to the right. And right there is Kingsbury. Is he going to move his...
Not over yet. Oh, there it is.
And that's going to be it. So that is Blake Reynolds taking the checkered flag here for the sprint race from Twin Ring Motegi. Then Ray Kingsbury. We'll look back here to Lambert in the third spot, followed by Peter Houston, Kevin Fanning, Cody Crosgrove. Josh Clogg worked his way up a couple spots from his qualifying effort. Then Taylor Carroll. Navar Luce, Tim Brokaw finally across the line, then Marwan Mafda, Seth Rawls in the 12th spot, William Dunbar still trying to finish his lap. That's Rawls' teammate. See, they've got some similar liveries going on those cars, and I think that they're going to see some common performances between them. But there you see Dunbar running a little bit wide out the final corner, but he's going to come home 13th. Then Josh Mertz up to 14th at the end of it, followed by Critchley, Wallace, Saponsky, and then Brian Smith and Sarah Rabb both did not finish tonight's event.
I was waiting for Josh to crash there so I could call him out. But seems like he didn't want to crash after line. Definitely my biggest thing to note from that race was Taylor Carroll, unfortunately getting caught up in that accident there, dropped a few spots. Probably should have finished third there. So that puts him about midfield, 8th place for the feature here. He might be able to make something happen for a podium in this race.
Yeah, so we do have a 10-minute warm-up for these drivers. We'll have to see how many take advantage of it, as the drivers will have to adjust to go from that light 15-minute fuel, 15 minutes of fuel compared to now where they have 45 minutes. Not even 45 minutes. They got about 50% fuel for this race. They'll have to make one pit stop, and it just comes down to when they decide to take it.
I think we got Curtis and Josh on the front row, so it'll be interesting to see how Josh does here, but definitely an interesting one. Sarah Rabb, 19th on the starting grid here, but if we only look, 15th place is Blake Reynolds, 14th Ray Kingsbury. She's only 4 back, 3 cars between her and Blake. And those are Jeffrey Walls, Daniel Saponsky, and Brian C. Smith. So not really particularly challenging cars to overtake, not trying to insult them, but speed-wise, she's got the difference there. So we could see her jump right to, them and continue her battle. And just as they move through the field, it could be a 3-car unit, so to speak. Whoever picks off traffic the best is gonna probably win this race.
Let's take a moment here. We'll talk with Josh Mertz for just a second. Josh, going to be starting on the front row here for the feature. What are your thoughts? I guess he's not here. Sorry, Josh. All right. Well, who do you want to talk to?
Let's get Marwan Mafta in here. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
If Discord will let me, I would gladly bring him in here.
Yeah, I'm a little interested to see what he thinks of his race there. I didn't really see much of what happened to him, but he seemed like he had a pretty consistent event.
Marwan, it's chat up in the booth. You got a copy?
What's up, man?
Hey, man, it was definitely an interesting race for you in the sprint. We're getting set for the feature here. You're going to roll off 5th. What are your thoughts here at Twin Ring Motegi?
It's gonna be interesting, man. There's a lot of fast guys behind me, so I'm just gonna stay consistent, get out of trouble, and see how it goes.
Now, we're used to seeing you over in the rallycross side, but what do you think here in the sports cars? A little different, isn't it?
It's fun. The longer races are different. The 40 minutes and the 45 minutes, it's definitely a challenge in VR, so we'll see. It usually gets really energy dependent by the end of the race.
Yeah, well, hey, man, we'll keep an eye on you throughout, and hopefully we'll check in with you stepping on the podium at the end of it.
Would be awesome. No curses, guys. Don't curse me,
Oh,
right?
we would never do
Please.
that. Never.
All right.
Hey, best of
Thank
luck
you.
tonight. That's Marwan Mafta rolling off 5th in the feature race tonight. 45 minutes. He's going to start 5th, and it's going to be a fun one to watch as these drivers continue just to kind of roll around. And you got 6 minutes left of a 10-minute warm-up. So definitely a lot of drivers on track that are going to make the most of tonight's to make the most of it and get their cars set for tonight's race.
Yeah, Chad, I got a question for you. You got a favorite for this one? Or maybe I shouldn't say favorite. Maybe I should say an outside shot, someone that might be in a different position than they're expecting, could maybe make use of the traffic, take a surprise victory or surprise podium.
I mean, obviously, Sarah Rabb starting dead last in the field. I think that she's going to have some work to do, and I think she's got the talent to do it. She's going to have to play the strategy perfectly. Maybe get that early pit stop to get some clean track and just not do it too early like she did last week. I think that some other drivers starting a little further down in Science Field. I mean, Brandon Lambert, he's always fast, and he's going to roll off 13th. So he's got some work to do there as well. In terms of guys that didn't do so well in the sprint, but we could see some good production out of them, I think that the Brokaw in the 111 has got a lot of practice in him, so maybe he can find something to do. He was the only driver, or he's the first driver in the field actually that qualified in the 151 bracket. Everybody that's going to start in front of him is in the 152s or 153. So his actual qualifying pace. Actually, I was getting my drivers mixed up. I was looking at Navarre's lap times, but Brokaw qualified all right, but we've seen him be pretty good on the defensive side of things, so he might be able to hold some guys off.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Tim and then Navarre, obviously. I think those are two good choices there. Taylor right behind them. I think Taylor showed, podium speed there, top 5 speed. So it'd be interesting to see if he can, eke out a podium here, starting, further up. He unfortunately got collected in that when Brandon and Kevin Fanning spun. So he could be, one of those guys that makes something happen. Also, we just saw him dive down pit lane. This is a trickier pit lane than most. I think the guys that are good at pit lane are going to gain here because you saw how narrow and tight it is. It's going to take commitment.
Yeah, not only is it tight and narrow, but there's also that little chicane on your way in as well. It's not a straight shot like you'll see at some other tracks. So definitely adds to the level of difficulty as these guys continue to run. I mean, I think that's one of those things that you'd expect more drivers to be practicing. So in the warm-up, not too many drivers have actually set a time. And they've all been just kind of taking their out lap and trying to get a feel for things on the different fuel levels. Rav, though, does take two. And there you see it. That was a prime example. We'll take another look at it. That was Navarre on his pit entry. We'll go to the chase cam here. You see there's a chicane. He cut straight across that. And then just straight into the garages. But yeah, that little chicane can definitely catch you out if you do not hit it right in practice. So going to be fun to watch as these guys continue to just click off lap after lap. Josh Klog up to third for the time being. I've lost all sound. There we go. I've got sound again. Something happened with my audio that lost all race sound. But we are back underway with audio as we continue to work our way down here from Motegi. Closer and closer ever do we tick to the start of the 45-minute feature. Let's go ahead for a moment. We'll ride on board with Sarah Rabb as she continues to work her way around. We'll go to the cockpit view and see what these drivers see is here at Twin Ring Motegi.
Yeah, you can see they get down to first gear there, and they're going to climb all the way up to fifth gear. This is the fastest part of the track. So no use of sixth gear at this race circuit, but still a very, very fast racetrack. Lots of fast corners, lots of slow corners too, but it's a very, very nice mix here. And I think we're in for a treat for this final. Turn 1 is going to be very interesting, turn 1s and 2. You know, they're going to come charging down into there. And there's a lot of lines you can run, especially with slower cars. So it's going to be interesting to see who, tries the outside, who tries the inside. We might see some 3 or 4 wide action.
Yeah, it's a double apex there in turns 1 and 2, and definitely makes it pretty tricky to try to guess where you need to turn in, because if you hit the first apex too early, you're going to be just losing a ton of speed on corner exit. If you enter too wide, you're probably going to be leaving the door open for other drivers to try to make a move on you. So definitely some interesting corners, and you have to take some, I don't want to say alternate lines, but maybe some counter logic to the lines that drivers run here, because you sometimes have to run kind of like the Parabolica over at Monza. Just you run it wide to get the long run down the straightaway. So definitely going to be fun to watch as the warm-up comes to an end. We get set for 45 minutes of action here in the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge.
All right, Chad. So with this being a longer race, do you think we're going to see Ray or Lambert or Sarah, one of them have better long run, maybe take advantage of that? And if so, who do you think it's going to be?
Man, I think that long run pace, just the two people that finished up front in the sprint, Blake and Ray, both of them, they just have so much experience in these cars over the last couple of weeks compared to other drivers. They have experience in these cars at this track as well. We're talking to drivers like Sarah Rav. She has never run a race here on iRacing, especially in the GT3. So definitely one of those tracks where the more you get familiar with it, the more comfortable you are. But I think that Blake and Ray, starting from the back, they going to have to work their way up, and I think they've got the chance to do it.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is not necessarily a challenging track, but there are a few challenging corners and areas in this track. One such being, the final corner coming into there, that brake zone. Very tricky to get that one right, and if you overcook it, you might not spin, but you can lose a lot of time there by just dropping a tire on the grass. So that, there's a lot of fine spots like that here.
Getting set to go racing here for 45 minutes, but let's take a look at our starting grid real quick, with Critchley on pole with Mertz, and then Dunbar, followed by Rawls, Mafta, Luce Carroll, row 4, then Claude Crosgrove. We followed then by Fanning and Peter Houston, row 6. Brandon Lambert, Ray Kingsbury, Blake Reynolds. Those are the 3 that finished at the top in the sprint. Then Jeffrey Wallace, Daniel Saponsky, Brian Smith, and Sarah Rabb, shotgun 19th. So that's a look at the starting lineup. And up front, we've got some different names than what you might normally expect, but that's part of the features of the invert, as it's going to be Critchley on the inside, Mertz on the outside there. They get lined up and waiting to go green here from Motegi. And it's a long run here down to the green flag, and just still waiting. There it is, finally green. We are underway 2 by 2, and you see already drivers peeking out of line, drivers to the inside going very defensive. What's going to happen here further back? Still clean, but still side by side as well. I think drivers going to be a little more aggressive here on the start, having to make up their way through the pack. There you see actually Sarah Rabb already made up 3 spots on the start.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury got the better start over Blake Reynolds. He's already up 1 spot over him. A little bit of contact ahead here. They're bunching it up. Oh, Blake Reynolds gets a little sideways. Nothing major, collects it.
But that wiggle cost him a couple of spots, and Sarah Rabb and Kingsbury are multiple cars in front of him now.
Yeah, nothing he could have done there. It looked like William Dunbar got checked up with another car. I think it was Marwan Mafta, and everyone just accordion affected back there. Not much they could do.
Yeah, these 4 cars currently on the right side of your racetrack, actually, those are all teammates there for Last Lap Motorsports, because that was Lambert, Kingsbury, Rabb as well was in that mix, and all of them were trying just to fight over the same bit of racetrack. We'll look further up here. This is Marwan Mafta right behind Brandon Lambert, 2 more of those Last Lap Motorsports drivers. And they continue just to fight and scrap here just outside the top 10.
Yeah, it looks like Lambert got the best out of that. He was behind those 2, behind Ray Kingsbury and Blake Reynolds and Sarah Rabb. Maybe not Sarah Rabb, but he was behind Blake and Ray for a little bit there, and managed to get the jump over him here. So he's definitely the one that benefited the most from that.
And there you see on the binders, that is Ray Kingsbury now up to the 11th spot. And that's one of those zones where if you know you're a faster driver than somebody, that's where you have to make the move, because you can definitely make sure you don't lose too much time getting that move done. If you can clear them there, you're not going to give up too much cornering speed, because the next corner is such a slow chicane.
At the front, Seth Rawls up to 2nd place. He's looking to hunt down Curtis Critchley, who still remains in the lead. And Josh Mertz holding on to 3rd, but he's under fire from Tim Brokaw. And here he comes for the move, down into turn number 2.
And that's Mertz very wide, still having to hold off, and clipping the grass there was Brokaw in the 111, those double stripes. And watch out, because there's that pro banner of, Brandon Lambert has had an issue. He is off the track. I don't see much damage to the car. Something has happened to him, though. He's dropped all the way back to last on the field. It looks like now 3 wide. Blake Reynolds very aggressive there, and he's going to get things settled in. So definitely very interesting there for Lambert. He drops to the back, and he's going to have some work to do, but he's recovered the car. It's Josh Klog now. Looks like he's trying to make a move.
Blake Reynolds around the outside on Kevin Fanning. Gets that job done finally. Sarah Rabb looks to size him up next. And it looks like we have Peter Houston also back there looking to move forward.
Yeah, Houston was a driver. We called his name a lot last week, and let's see if we do the same here. That's Blake Reynolds going to the outside that time, trying to just find any way that he can to make a move. This is that long straightaway once again. He's definitely going to get the move done under brake. No, very defensive then from Marwan Mafta. Driver side by side down the hill. Mafta able to hold on for now. Still alongside, and Reynolds just kind of pinched him off just enough there. Made him nervous, and he had the back out of that one.
Job done. Up in 6th place here, Josh Mertz defending against Josh Klog. Managed to hold them off despite having a run down the backstretch. Josh Mertz not going to lay over and let everyone by today.
Yeah, Sarah Rabb starting a little bit with traffic.
Big trouble in front here. Cody Crosgrove just about collected. Two or three cars there, but let it roll and
the-
safely got off the track.
The worst part for him is he had to let all of these cars go by. Still traffic coming as he finally gets it back rolling again. Ray Kingsbury, by the way, is up to the 8th spot. He is the first of those runners that finished up at the front of the sprint, so he had to work his way through the field for the feature, already halfway there. And Blake Reynolds not far behind. Then Sarah Rabb has dispatched of Mofta and Fanning. So they are still 8th, 9th, and 10th, but they're all line astern. Rawls has just pipped Critchley. They're side by side, though. This is for the lead of the race. And it's Rawls out in front. Fantastic move from him as they snake their way around now. And a little wiggle there from Critchley. Now he's feeling the pressure from Taylor Carroll. Carroll hard on the binders there. Gets the launch off the corner. Leaves enough room as well for Critchley. Critchley's now going to feel the pressure from Brokaw. So fantastic bit of driving there from both Carroll and Brokaw. Brokaw still trying to find a way behind or way around. He's now up into 4th, and he is all over the rear wing there of Curtis Critchley.
All right, we're 5 minutes down on this race, and our championship contenders, Blake Reynolds, Ray Kingsbury, Sarah Rabb, have made decent progress as we see Ray Kingsbury sending it in on Navarre. Gets the job done. Next is Josh Mertz, and here comes Blake Reynolds on Navarre, taking a peek through the kink, going to look through the through the chicane to get a run through. Not close enough.
And there you see the difference in these cars, the red versus the blue end plates on the wings. That's the Pro class in the blue end plates. The red indicates the AM class. The only driver that has changed under the probationary period for that was Sarah Rabb. She went from AM to Pro based on her performance last week. But just about everybody else stayed the same in class. And that's Josh Mertz around. He just kind of looped it on corner exit. Navarre Luce does end up losing a spot there to Blake Reynolds. But
we have a battle for the race lead. Taylor Carroll is right on the tail of Seth Rawls, and he's also got company with Tim Brokaw right behind him. Seth did drop a tire down in turn 3 and 4 and just about got past, but Taylor couldn't take advantage of that and had to back off.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where you can, depending on where you lose it, you can definitely make up for your mistakes. There you see peeking to the inside was Carroll. He's still alongside, but can't get the launch off the corner. Now he's going to be feeling the pressure from Brokaw. Cuts him off. That's a finger out the window for me if you're doing that kind of move on the highway. But then back to the inside once again is Carroll. Almost bangs doors, but he's still to the inside and trying to force his way in there as Brokaw thought about making it 3, but can't or thinks better of it. And now Carroll on the inside. It's not the easiest place to go double file, but they make it work all the way there, running all the racetrack. Track's going to switch back, though, in favor of Carroll off the corner. Who gets the launch and who's going to get the move done? Very close door-to-door action still, but the corner's still in favor of Taylor Carroll, now working their way down towards the start-finish line. Oh, Brokaw thinks about making it 3 wide. He does not, but clear is Taylor Carroll. Oh, he can set his sights ahead and hopefully just make some solid laps here. But look at that battle. All these cars battling for the lead. Line astern, your top 5.
Blake Reynolds making the look on Ray Kingsbury there for 6th place. Gets it just about done. And Curtis Critchley back up to 3rd place on Tim Brokaw there.
Yeah, Brokaw doing everything he can to find his way through. That's Josh Klog, that yellow Porsche, in behind them as well.
Our two championship contenders also side by side here. Still side by side. Blake Reynolds defends against Ray Kingsbury. Neither one has won the position yet. Coming through the S's here.
It's going to switch back to the left in favor of Reynolds. Is he going to get the spot? Yes, he's got it cleared now. And I think that if you're Ray Kingsbury, you just kind of want to hold off and sit in line as long as you can. Just let Blake punch the hole, work his way through traffic, and do what you can back behind him. Just kind of a little go-karting move. So let the faster car do the work, and you just follow him through. And you could probably save a bit of fuel doing that as well. Kingsbury thought about going to the outside. That was very close there between Reynolds and Klog.
Very late move. and Ray Kingsbury drops his tires there. It looks like Navarre might be able to have a look down into the corner here. Blake Reynolds showing the nose on Josh Clogg. Oh, contact ahead as Tim Brokaw just got into the back of Curtis Critchley there.
Yeah, not significant contact. They are able to keep things pointed the right direction. There you see how aggressive Ray Kingsbury is all over the rear wing. Something has happened to Josh Mertz once again. He is losing a ton of time. Marwan Mofta has also lost the 13th spot to Cody Crosgrove, so not the start that he wanted to his race. These guys still battling. These are the two championship contenders. They're side by side now through turn 2. And they're still down side by side through the second straightaway.
Yeah, neither one willing to give an inch. They're both wanting to win this race, both wanting to win this championship. Obviously, they won the MTech championship together as co-drivers, so perhaps a little bit of a no, I'm the better driver going on here.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see. Carroll still leads Rawls and Brokaw, but this is that whole gaggle of cars. This is the entire basically battle for the lead. These guys right back in it. About 3 seconds from first now, down to 7th as we're still we're over 10 minutes into this race.
Yeah, it's living up to its promise as we have battle for 4th here with Josh Clogg looking up, and here comes Blake Reynolds. He's looking to make it 3 wide.
He thought about forcing his nose in there. Can't do it. They bang doors, though. That's Critchley and Clogg. And the middle is now wide open for Blake Reynolds. Sarah Rabb flashing her lights in the background there. As a driver, Navarre Luce right there is blinking, so it's hard for her to predict and make a move where to go there. But now Reynolds thinks or tries to go around the outside. He is side by side now with Clogg. And now if you're Ray Kingsbury, do you follow Clogg up the inside? I think you have to. But who's better under braking? Yeah, it's still Clogg for now. And as long as he can kind of keep his nose there, these guys are going to be still side by side. It's going to switch back to the right here in favor.
Here comes Kingsbury.
Yep.
Gonna take the spot away. Nice move. Didn't want to wait around. Doesn't get the best of runs out of the corners, but that's okay. If he waited around there, he was going to get stuck behind Josh Clogg.
Yeah, so thankfully got clear. Unfortunately, the big loser there was Clogg losing 2 spots in that one corner. But still, Kingsbury's lost about 7/10 of a second or so to Blake Reynolds. Not the greatest exit for him, but he's right there. Blake right on the back of Critchley, though. For the time being, there's so few safe passing opportunities here. You really kind of have to force something in a couple of these. It looks like it's a good passing zone, but not all of them are. As there you see these guys, drivers, all line astern. This is about 4th on back to 10th. All in that shot just a moment ago. There you see it once again.
Yeah, Curtis Critchley also doing a nice job here, maintaining onto the top 5 here. I didn't think he'd last this long, but he's showing some very consistent speed here. And he's showing some good defensive maneuvers too, as he's held on to the spot for quite a while. But up at the front, Taylor Carroll running 52.0 last time by. Pretty consistent lap times, and is pulling away from Seth Rawls, who's been running about 52.7s, 52.9s, so higher than 52s recently.
Yeah, once Carroll got clear, he is just not needed to look back at all. As there you see one pass done, and that's Reynolds on Critchley. Now Ray Kingsbury trying to go 2 for 1 down this straightaway. He's got the run. He might take a peek here under braking. I think that he's just going to think better of it. Yeah, he does, so he's just going to be covered off there by Blake Reynolds, but these two still now have a bit of a gap up to Tim Brokaw, the next car in line.
Yeah, Ray dropped the tire there again, so he's going to drop a little ways back off Blake Reynolds. Not going to be able to close the gap here. Going to have to hit some very consistent laps, very fast laps to close the gap. Battle for 2nd place is brewing, as we see Seth Rawls is a little bit slower than Tim Brokaw. He keeps chipping away at that gap as they run 52.0s, 52.3s at the front.
And this is further back. That's Sarah Rabb trying to get by everybody. She is on the inside of Josh Clogg now. Clogg, lost the back end. Yep, that is Clogg. I don't think he's going to collect anybody. No, he's able to just spin out of the way of everybody, get things going, no harm, no foul to anybody else. But he does drop back to the 12th position. Has now Sarah Rabb gotten by Clogg, gotten by Critchley, and she is 2 seconds or so behind Kingsbury and Reynolds. So those are your three that we're going to be keeping an eye on this season for the championship. They've shown pace both of the events so far, and I've seen all of these drivers in past sessions with a lot of pace in their car. About a second now, though, between Kingsbury and Reynolds for the 4th spot. And there's a look at that gap. He closes up under braking, but it's not going to be enough. These guys are right on the back now of Tim Brokaw, as well. Brokaw, and that's Seth Rawls there in the green and red 125.
Yeah, you got your 2nd, 3rd, 4th under a blanket here. And then, second, third, fourth, fifth under a blanket. And it's looking like it's going to be a dive here from Tim Brokaw on Seth Rawls. No, thinks better of it. But he's definitely got to go soon, or he's going to get passed by Blake Reynolds.
I know these cars have the chrome horn, but I think that if you're Blake Reynolds, you have to be laying on the real horn. You'd just be blaring it. And there's a driver, I think, that somebody just dived down to the pits. Yes. Blake Reynolds pits.
Ray Kingsbury,
Ray
too.
Kingsbury pits early, yeah. That's
interesting. I don't know if you can make it from there, but that'd be interesting. I think you can make it about 30 minutes, so he should be okay on fuel. That's an interesting decision there. Perhaps he thinks even with a heavier fuel load, he can go faster than some of the cars in front of him that he would be stuck behind.
Well, yeah, I think that just how hard Brokaw and Rawls are battling, I think that he's thinking that Reynolds is going to be caught up by these guys for a little bit. So he dives down to pit road at the earliest possible time, and now Blake has to think, do I need to pit here, or am I good to the end? 12.1 on the stop for Kingsbury. And I don't think he's going to short fuel like we've seen some other drivers do this season. So I think.
No, I think you got to stay out if you're Blake. You know, you've got one car left, so you got clean track, and then you got Taylor Carroll, who's a long ways up the road, so he's got time to get up there and then choose which pit strategy he wants to go on to. So personally, I would stay out, try to clear Seth Rawls here and just hammer fast laps.
Yeah, for sure. Continuing to just tick these laps off. But yeah, you are being held up a little bit here if you're Reynolds by Rawls. I think that as soon as he gets by, of course, he's going to just set sail. And he's still going to have to find a way to get by Carroll. But at the same time, Ray Kingsbury is just clicking off some fast laps. We'll have to see what times he puts down, because he's about 8 seconds or so behind the next car.
Sarah Rabb taking a look on Tim Brokaw here for 4th place. Easily gets it done to the brake zone. Tim lets her go.
Yeah, no, Reynolds was sizing up a move on Rawls, but did not get the launch off the corner that he wanted. Now through the chicane, he's right there, about a car between them. But still, there you see the lead for Taylor Carroll. About 3 or so seconds over Seth Rawls. Now peeking to the inside is Reynolds. He's going to be there. And I think that's a smart move there from Seth Rawls, just letting him go by. But now, eyes forward for Blake Reynolds. He has to turn some fast, clean laps, because Kingsbury already made his stop, and he's going to start working his way up through the field. A couple other drivers, by the way, working their way down pit road. Next one to blink is Josh Clogg, as he dives down, and he's going to come out, I think, down in 17th. It looks like Jeffrey Wallace has had an issue, and he has retired from the session. So that's going to be it for Jeffrey Wallace's day, about a handful of laps to go in the 99. But that's 2 drivers now that have made their way down the pit lane. That's Ray Kingsbury and Josh Clogg, as a couple other drivers still battling pretty good here. We'll go back to Navarre Luce and Curtis Critchley side by side. And that third car there is Kevin Fanning in the double-striped Mercedes. And that other car peeking his way into the frame as well. That's Peter Houston. So 4 cars here with the blanket between them. Still battling hard. Not a lot of room there on the inside. Little wiggle on corner exit from Critchley. And for the time being, it's going to be Luce up into the 6th spot.
Seth Rawls is under attack here for third place. He said to Sarah Rabb to go right ahead, so he's going to give that spot up. Sarah gets the job done. She's up to 3rd, and Seth Rawls down to 4th.
Yeah, and we talked about the cautions in this series. We were misunderstanding of the rules. That was only going to come into play at our one endurance race this season. That's at Spa. So that's going to be a fun race to watch, as still Taylor Carroll out in front. And Looks like Peter Houston might have, hey, he works his way down pit road. Lambert down as well. Cody Crosgrove. So more drivers now starting to think about stopping.
And mega laps there from Seth and Blake as they did 50.2 and a 50.3 respectively. So those two picking up the wick, so to speak, and they are closing fast on Taylor Carroll for the lead.
Yeah, the other guy that we watched was Ray Kingsbury. His last lap was a 151.5. So he is going to have to figure something out if he wants to make up all the time that he might have lost. I did not get the lap times for Kingsbury the last couple of laps, but I think that he's going to have some work left to do. We'll have to see if his strategy did pay off. He's up to 12th already, and so a lot of drivers in front of him do have to pit. So he's the first car that has played his pit stop card as he continues just to click off laps. But this is a look at Blake Reynolds still cutting into that lead of Taylor Carroll. So right now, Carroll, Reynolds, Rab, all about a second or so between them. Closest battle on track looks like it is Kevin Fanning, and he's all over Navarluce's rear wing.
Yeah, and you're discussing the lap times there for Ray Kingsbury. I think it's important to note that, you put more fuel in the car, your cars are not going to go faster usually. So the only real strategy to pitting early when you're not changing tires is either if your car is unbalanced, you want to rebalance the tire wear, or if you're stuck in traffic and you want to try to run faster, if you can run faster laps with the fuel tank. But the second you get clear, theoretically, right? The second you get clear, you should be able to run faster lap times in clean air with a lighter fuel tank than you should be able to with the heavier fuel tank. So it's always a risk.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be paying off so far. We'll just have to wait and see on that. And
it's a battle right in front of him as Josh Mertz makes a look for 10th to get the job done on William Dunbar into turn 1.
Let's look at them side by side. That Shift Esports car, bright and looks good, but unfortunately not able to hold off Josh Mertz. And now Kingsbury trying to follow him through.
Ooh, spin up ahead. It's Curtis Critchley. All that hard work has been undone there as he drops down to 8th place.
Unfortunately for him, doesn't look like there's any damage to the race car, so just lost a bit of time and maybe he's hurt some of his pride, but did not hurt the race cars. He feels a bunch of pressure there from Marwan Mafta, who just came up on him in a hurry and had almost nowhere to go. He's able to get slowed up in time, though.
Battle for the race lead. The top 3 are under a blanket, and we have Blake Reynolds all over Taylor Carroll, and Sarah Rabb is not very far behind.
There you see how wide these drivers go going into this final couple of corners. There's Blake Reynolds now diving down pit lane. He is going to be the first one up front to blink. As that's just going to leave it with a 2-car battle here between Carroll and Rab. Reynolds will have to see where he cycles through. Where is Ray Kingsbury? Because when Kingsbury pit, he was right there behind Blake Reynolds. So Reynolds now in his box. He's 10 seconds or so in.
Taylor Carroll runs it wide. Sarah Rabb gets the job done. Clean track for her.
So here's a look. This is Ray Kingsbury. Where is Blake Reynolds? He is just now exiting pit lane. So did lose a little bit of time. And I think Kingsbury not very happy with Josh Mertz holding him up.
We've lost Curtis Critchley. He's no longer running on the racetrack. Not sure if something happened there, but he's disconnected from the race.
Yeah, and it was a manual disconnection, so it was something that he did on his end. And look at the battle for the lead. This is... Actually, though, that's Sarah Rabb battling for second now. So she's lost a spot to Seth Rawls. And she's got some damage to the nose of that race car.
Yeah, we missed something there. She was in the lead, and then I'm not sure if she spun out under the bridge. She dropped Oh, her steering wheel just hooked dead left, and she head on the wall. Oh, I'm guessing the steering wheel disconnected.
Oh no. Yeah, something happened with her entire wheel and pedal setup, and now she's got some steering damage, it looks like, as well. You see her there feathering her inputs. Just a little light on the steering. Oh, that's unfortunate for her. But she does go back by Seth Rawls, so you see a lot
That
of damage to
is
that race car. We have to see how much is going to be mandatory repairs when she works her way down pit road. Seth Rawls does pit himself.
that car is down on straight line speed. Definitely has engine damage, so that's unfortunate. You know, that's not something that you normally see. But that's a part of sim racing. If your equipment is malfunctioning, then that's, you know, unfortunate. But there's not much you can do about it until the race is over.
Yep, so still Taylor Carroll out in front. In just a matter of time, we'll have to see what happens with him when he makes his stop. So Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, your top three with Carroll, Rab, and Brokaw. Rab, of course, we talked about all of her straight line speed damage, hit her nose hard not long ago, and that's just unfortunate as continue to work our way. Now we've passed halfway, under 20 minutes left. And what's going to happen here? Still, 6 drivers have not pit. Your top 5 as well as Josh Mertz. So Mertz, I guess, playing the long game. About, I'm seeing an estimated 11 laps to go for these drivers. So just a matter of time. Have to wait and see how things play out the rest of the way.
Yeah, Taylor Carroll's pace has dipped significantly. Definitely not running the lap times he was running before. So 52.6 last time by. See what he runs this time by. But if we look at Blake Reynolds and Ray Kingsbury, he's running 51.5. So he's definitely gaining time on Taylor Carroll. Question is he gaining time on Blake Reynolds?
And Blake's last lap was a 154.7. I think that was actually his outlet, so that would explain that. Yeah, Kevin Fanning currently sits
Tim Brokaw down into pit lane here, P3.
Yeah, so he's going to drop down. I think he's going to cycle out in about 7th for the time being. As that's your 6th and 7th place drivers now. That's Reynolds going by, and then there's Kingsbury. So where is he?
It looks like Rawls will get him too.
Yeah, so Rawls did get a Mertz. Mertz is going to be too far back. That's going to be close, I think. No, he's
Mertz still has to pit, so.
That's true as well. Peter Houston, the next car in line. He's currently in the 10th spot. So things for the time have at least settled out just a little bit. This is Cody Crosgrove. He is not far off of Brandon Lambert, with Josh Claude right behind.
Your big question mark here is Sarah Rapp. How bad is that damage? Can it last the next 25 minutes or so? Sorry, 17 minutes.
Well, the other thing is how much mandatory repair will she have to that race car? Because obviously it's not enough for a meatball flag.
Well, if there's no meatball flag, then there's no mandatory damage repair, but at least not usually. So it should be able to get right back out. The real question is, will it survive without blowing up the engine?
Yeah, so she still runs in the 2nd position, about 4 seconds off of Taylor Carroll. Both of them.
Lap time wise, she looks all right. Running 50.4, 50.8, so hasn't hurt her speed that much. She's still running faster than Ray Kingsbury.
Yes, Kevin Fanning does, by the way, come down pit lane from the 3rd position. He is in his box. So he's going to take his mandatory service and continue on. He drops down to 5th, probably going to lose 6th as well. Still 13.8 then on the gun. Lost 2 seconds or so in his box to Seth Rawls. Yeah, so he's going to drop down 7th position. Now 8th, actually, for Kevin Fanning.
That time around, Blake Reynolds 50.9, Sarah Rab 50.8. So the car isn't hurt as bad as we thought. It doesn't look pretty, but it's still competitive. So she could still fight for that podium position. Ray Kingsbury, his pace is the biggest shock to me. 51.2. Taylor Carroll continues out on the track and is doing 51 O's. So Kingsbury not looking that fast.
Yeah, so the thing for Taylor Carroll is when does he pit and how big of a lead will he have? He's had a clean track for quite some time now. I would have to think he's going to have to pit soon. 50% fuel in these cars, and we're at about 50% of what a normal
Here he
sim would
comes.
be, and yep, there he comes.
And I think Blake Reynolds might get him in the pit lane. Sarah Rab also follows in P2. I think Blake Reynolds might just get him coming out because he's been running faster lap times. And when he pitted, they were pretty close.
Yeah, so here's a look. This is Blake Reynolds now. He runs a little wide there, uses all the racetrack to the right. Now through the switchback. Drivers now working their way. They're about 3/4 way through their stop. So where are they going to come out? Sarah Rab gets out of her box first, but there you see. And where is Reynolds? Reynolds, I think Reynolds has
He's already
it.
passed.
Yep, he's got them both.
But Taylor Carroll's not that far behind. He beats Ray Kingsbury out. So Ray's going to have to get around him still. And Sarah's not far behind Ray either. So if her lap times are okay, if the car's not down on speed, she might be able to challenge for the podium position still, possibly even second.
Yeah, and if you have to think if she doesn't have that wheel issue, she'd probably be in a lot better position as well, because that not only cost her time, but also you see that damage on her car. But yeah, that time that it cost her from the spin, the contact, and the car going around. Yeah, I think that that was a big incident there for her, and I think that could have cost her the win as well, because she's shown pace all night long.
And Josh Mertz has said, I have a black flag because he missed the chicane. So that's unfortunate for him. Not quite sure what he did, though, to deserve that. If he cut the pit entry. So it looks like Josh Mertz is going to drop some ways back.
Yeah, this is a battle, though,
Also,
that's still going on the track. This is Lambert on the back of Peter Houston, and Cody Crosgrove making the peak from behind as well.
I also saw Josh Clogg's car there was up on the jacks getting tires, so I'm not sure if something happened to him. But not on a race you normally take tires on, so not sure if that's an error or if he does have a little damage, but it doesn't look that bad.
I think he might be taking damage because he's been in his pit stall for over a minute now.
He's out of the car, so I'm assuming he's done for the race. Not quite sure what happened. The car doesn't look that bad. In fact, he was driving it like that for a few laps, so.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is he came on as a substitute for.
It was his second pit stop, so I'm not sure. Maybe it started to overheat. But that's unfortunate. It looks like he's out of the race.
Yeah, he was filling in as a substitute for the 42 of Kieran Big Dog Forrest. But he instead decides to hang it up, and yeah, he's just going to stay in his stall the rest of the way. Josh Mertz took his service. He is back and running. But this is the battle on track right now to watch, as it's Houston, Lambert, Crosgrove. They're 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds continues to run away at the front, extending his lead over Taylor Carroll, as Carroll ran last lap, was out of the pits, but Ray Kingsbury has picked up the speed a little bit, down to a 51.0, and Sarah Rab is hunting him down. So we could have a battle for second place and third place on pretty soon.
Yeah, just waiting to see how things cycle out. Now 10 minutes or so, just over 10 minutes between for these drivers to get things sorted out, as it's still Reynolds, Carroll, Kingsbury, Rab. I think Seth Rawls, the 125, is the lead AM driver. It's Kevin Fanning not far behind. He is about 3 seconds or so from that top spot. So Seth Rawls doing everything he can to hold on to the lead in the AM class.
A little loose there off the final corner with Sarah Raby. She's going to drop her advantage to Ray Kingsbury as he skirts the way down the front stretch.
Oh, and looks like
Big
Kingsbury
dive.
then gave the position up. That looked almost too easy.
I wonder if he's not happy with his pace and decided to let her go to try to follow her to make the way down to Blake Reynolds. It is one possible strategy is, if you know someone's already faster than you, let them go. Follow them, give them the clean track, see if that person can help you catch up to the other person. So perhaps that's what Ray's doing, is he doesn't have the outright pace, so he's going to try to draft his way up there.
Yeah, and with some of the longer straightaways that we have on this course, absolutely that's a viable strategy. Just using the slipstream of a faster driver to catch up, and they continue to work their way up towards the front. Taylor Carroll, of course, that next car up there. As it's currently just over 4 seconds from Carroll up to Blake Reynolds, the overall leader at the moment. So still Reynolds, Carroll, Rab, Kingsbury, your top 4. Those are all pro class drivers. Then Rawls, Fanning, Brokaw, the next 3, and they are all in the AM class. So 4 pros, 3 AMs, and then Peter Houston, I believe, is in the pro class. Yes, he is. There you see the blue wing end plates there on the number 4 machine. So he is right there on the back of Brokaw, though. Can he try to find his way by?
He's certainly close enough this time by. If he can get a run through this chicane, he might be able to get it done down into turn 1.
Now, under 10 minutes to go, these drivers continue to battle. And still, it looks like Sarah Rabb is catching up to Taylor Carroll quickly. It's under a second between them now. It's about 7 tenths. So we'll keep an eye on the interval there, but this is still one of the closer battles on track. This is for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. All 4 of those drivers, all for position, lined up. AM Pro with Lambert there in the 46. The AM splitting just in front of Cody Crosgrove. Thinking about a move there was Lambert. Peeked his nose to the inside, just kind of maybe showing up in his mirror saying, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. And he's trying everything he can to find his way by, but still, it is Brokaw leading this train. Houston tries to go to the outside, covered off. Now it's still going to be Brokaw. No driver left to have to make their stop. Clogg, Critchley, and Wallace are the 3 drivers that will not finish today's event. Josh Mertz.
Fending down the backstretch is Taylor Carroll. He breaks the slipstream, and the damaged car of Sarah Rabb cannot keep up in the straightaway. He managed to extend his lead there.
And there you see what the gap is down to. It's 0.2 of a second. Thinking about the move up the inside. She's there. All the curbing for her. But she's got that move, and she's got it done. Now Kingsbury trying to follow his way through.
I don't think Taylor just gave her that move either. She shoved it in there and said, you're going to have to lift.
Yeah, I mean, she had 2 tires over the curbing, but thankful for her, not enough to get the slowdown penalty. So she is now up into the 2nd spot. Can she continue, though, with that damage to her race car? Now, only has about 3 or 4 laps left to keep that car pointed the right direction. But, by the way, look at this. Side by side, this is back at that battle. We're talking about Houston up the inside. They're still side by side. And the track's going to switch back to the left here in favor, then, of the Mercedes of Brokaw. I think Brokaw under braking does not have it, so he's going to be covered up back there by Houston. Houston, Brokaw. Lambert tries to find a way by, but can't do it.
He did make a mistake there off the corner, and Tim Brokaw is deeper on the brakes here, but Peter Houston have the easy way around. Brandon Lambert taking advantage of that, gets the job done up through the S's here.
Working their way up the hill around to the right, now switching back. Oh, almost cutting off there, the 28 of Cody Crosgrove. Crosgrove sends it up the inside. Did not like the move, I don't think, from Brokaw, but still, this battle has been going on for quite some time, and I don't think that they want it to end as we continue now closer and closer to 5 minutes remaining.
We have a battle for the M-Class lead here, 5th place. Kevin Fanning has caught up to Seth Rawls. Not sure if something happened to Seth Rawls, but Fanning has turned up his pace quite a bit and has picked up about a second overall. So he's now running 51.5s as Seth Rawls runs about 52.4s.
Yeah, I think Rawls made a slight mistake on his last lap, and that allowed that gap to close. But it's one thing to catch up to a driver. It's another to find your way past, as we just saw how hard of a struggle it was for some of those drivers in that last group we were looking at. But Rawls, now you see him trying to break the slipstream a little bit there. The gap pretty steady now for the time being at about 0.3 of a second. Late on the brakes there, very deep was Fanning. You saw him close that gap, but it's going to grow on corner exit as Rawls now continues just to barely hold on to that M-Class lead.
We've got 5 minutes left, so that's about 3 or 4 laps to go. So still a good amount of racing here left in this race, and we've got a dive down there as it looks like, is that Peter Houston? No, that's Cody Crossgrove
yep.
on Tim Brokaw.
Lambert has gotten by Houston as well. Fanning now, Rawls trying to get the crossover move there. Now under the bridge, no. We got some great battles all over. This is for the M-Class lead once again, and I think that Fanning might, now that he's got the clean racetrack, he might just do what we saw Blake Reynolds do and get clean air and just pull away. By the way, Carroll has dropped from second now down to fourth, and he has lost a considerable amount of time. He is already 3.5 seconds behind Ray Kingsbury, and Kingsbury's 2 seconds or so behind Sarah Rabb. So Reynolds, Rabb, now Kingsbury up to third. Taylor Carroll down to fourth. This battle for fifth is for the M-Class lead, as that's Fanning and Rawls. Brandon Lambert 6 seconds behind this group, so he's just about locked into third spot there in the M-Class third step of the podium.
Yeah, Taylor Carroll had a half spin, very similar to what took him out of the race right in front of Ray Kingsbury. Thankfully he didn't get hit. But exact same corner where he hit the car that spun out in front of him. So, yeah, I think just a corner where you can push it a little hard if you're trying to, catch up on a spot or if you're trying to defend a position. And it's easy to get it to turn around there.
Yeah, so this is that battle once again for the 5th spot. Fanning in the blue 144. Rawls in that green and red 125. Now working their way now towards the left, taking out all the cones. I don't know why you would do such a thing. Those cones have feelings.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Seth can learn something while behind Kevin here. Maybe he can mimic his line and take the fight to Kevin Fanning. But Kevin's looked pretty good all day.
Yeah, I thought that Fanning might have just been held up by Rawls, but once he got by him, Rawls has not given him any ground. He's actually gaining. There he is right on the back. Track's going to switch back down to the right here, and then they're going to go down the straightaway and down the long straightaway down the hill as well. As they continue now, I got my corners mixed up actually. Now they're going to get closer and closer to that straightaway, but man, these guys not letting each other get away. I thought that Fanning might run and hide, but no, we're all still right there. Oh, a little wide there from Fanning. Rawls all over the back bumper. Now they work their way down, and this is going to be, I think, Rawls' best opportunity to try to get the move done.
Yeah, it is, but when
Not
you run it
fair.
wide like Fanning did, you're actually setting up a late apex for that corner, which lets you get an insane amount of speed out of the corner there.
Yep, so there you see that gap holding steady at about 0.3 between them. Up front, not missing anything. Some pretty large gaps actually between the top 5. So this battle for the 5th spot is the closest one going on. Back behind, of course, it's still Lambert, Houston, and Crosgrove right behind these drivers by about 5 seconds. And Crosgrove right on the rear wing of Peter Houston. So we'll keep it on the interval back there, but still focused here on the AM class lead.
Yeah, and I think if Sarah didn't have her spin and that damage, I think this could be a totally different race. I think she had the pace to win this one. Just she's matching Blake's lap times, and I think that bodes well if she can work out the kinks here and just get lucky. Get rid of the bad luck here. She might have a shot at a win, next week. Okay, what track are we visiting next week, Chad?
Next week we're off next week, and then we go to Okayama.
So it's another. That's right. We're doing the Japanese swing first, the Asian swing first, and we're heading down to even Australia at some point. So yeah, that's another track that's very similar to this one, and it's kind of narrow, and it's a very, very fun racetrack, but definitely one where a driver wouldn't run the GT3s that often, so it should be an interesting race.
And this is a look at your leader, Blake Reynolds, as this is, I believe, the final lap. Yes, it is. So he's going to come across the line and win here at Twin Ring Motegi. Sarah Rabb was closing in about 3 seconds or so the gap. Now there's Ray Kingsborough. We'll go back here, actually, to the battle for the 5th spot, and it looks like that's going to be Kevin Fanning all day. So it was a good charge by Rawls. Fanning got the move done, was able to hold him off. So that's going to be the AM class win there. And then it's Brandon Lambert, Peter Houston, followed by Cody Crosgrove. Tim Brokaw then in the top 10, then Navarre Luce. Marwan Mafta, after some early struggles, works his way up and finishes 12th. Daniel Saponsky then is about half a lap or so behind Mafta. So he's going to get 13th. Then Brian Smith. And actually, these two teammates are still battling. This is Saponsky and Smith. These guys are friends as well. So they obviously run into their teammates, friends, and they're battling hard. They continue to work their way around here for the final time, battling for the 13th spot.
Yeah, we got 15 cars running on track still. So all 15 of them going to finish on the lead lap. But yeah, only 4 cars DNF. That's not too bad. Compared to last week, I think we had a lot more wrecks. This was a much cleaner race. Everyone was battling in a fantastic fashion. As we have a look down into the last corner here, but he runs it a little wide.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic bit of racing. We'll catch our breath for just a moment. Wait for some drivers to hop in for some interviews, but we'll take a short break and be back in just a little bit. And a fantastic race all around as we wrap things up here from Twin Ring Motegi. So we'll see if we can't get an interview with, let's start out here with somebody. Who do we got? There we go. For some reason my computer's having issues, but we'll start out here with our winner, Blake Reynolds. And Blake, definitely had some interesting moments out there. What were your thoughts on tonight's race?
Little unexpected, I'll be honest. Oh, are you by yourself?
I had Matt in the booth with me, but he took off to go watch some soccer. So.
Oh, how unprofessional of him.
No, I told him to go away. I didn't want him here.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Anyway, yeah, pretty much just, I don't want to say uneventful, but there was very short bursts of events, and they came heavy. But other than that, it was just kind of smooth sailing. I would say. The heat for me was pretty easy. I blew a corner talking to my chat. So something a little new to me. I usually don't have enough people watching my stream to have a chat. So I was talking to chat, and yeah, it. I just blew a corner. Sarah got by, and then all of a sudden Sarah spun out, and I was like, "Well, okay." So I just held off Ray and just tried not to dip off another wheel. It happened a couple times, but I was able to hold him back. And then, starting 15th is kind of scary too. When there's only like 19 cars or something like that. So picked up some damage coming through the pack there. It was about 55 seconds on the pit stop, it said. So I don't know how much faster my car could have been, but I just kind of did my not short stint, not long stint for the pit stop, just kind of right in the middle, and that ended up being the play.
Yeah, the interesting thing that I'm noticing this season is just the balance of cars up at the front. I think after qualifying, we had 2 Mercedes, 2 Audis, 2 Porsches, and 2 Ferraris. I think all in the top 8. So, what do you think of the balance of power of these cars, balance of performance of these cars, and kind of how competitive everybody is? Because it's you, the 2 Audis, and a Porsche even. So the manufacturer's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I would actually say the Mercedes and the Audi are definitely the best, but I think Audi's definitely like pretty far the best. At least from what I've heard from outside other leagues and like officials looking at the stats, it just seems like the Audi's the overall best car. And in practice, I look at those lap times for those Audis, and I'm like, how in the world are you turning those lap times? Sarah and Ray. And then it gets to the race, and all of a sudden I'm up to speed. So I don't know how to explain it, Chad. I really don't. But Audi and the Mercedes, I would say probably the best.
Would you say it's a little bit of unintentional sandbagging from you in practice?
I guess I just pick it up in the race. No, it is.
But hey, congratulations on the win, and it was a fantastic drive from you working your way through traffic. So anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, Jim Beaver Esports, General Tire on our car. You'll actually, this is a little bit of a sneak peek, Chad. This will actually be my exact eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series car next week at Richmond, and from then on. So pretty much identical red car with the black hood and the General Tire branding. It's a very cool, very sleek car. Next level racing, fistful of bourbon, Vision Wheel, all the other partners at Jim Beaver Esports, and I'll shout out Keith Jeffrey. Still hasn't made a start yet. He's my teammate. Just family issues both times right before the race. So we'll see him. You might see him this season. Hopefully, yeah. That's about it.
Well, hey, we'll have to get my logo and stick it on your car somewhere. No, but no, we'll hope to see your teammate out here, and congratulations on the win. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Yep, thank you.
That's Blake Reynolds, your winner tonight, and we'll go from one winner to another with Kevin Fanning. Kevin, you won the AM class. Walk us through your race.
I was just trying to be super consistent. I worked a little bit this week to try to get the braking points right, and just tried to hit my marks and not worry too much about traffic behind me or in front of me, and just run my own race.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a fun battle to watch there at the end between you and Seth. Talk us through that battle, because you definitely caught up, but once you got by, you couldn't pull away from him.
No, I started looking in my mirrors too much, quite honestly. I had a good run on, I think it was turn 2 on him, and then I come to the inside on turn 3. And then I think looked like he tried to get me back a little bit, but we were able to keep ahead. And then I just started watching my mirror a little too much, so I made it closer than what I wanted it to be. But and fair racing, all race with everybody, just had a great time.
And it was the first time that we raced here in the series. A lot of drivers, it was their first time here in general. So what were your thoughts on the track?
I liked it. I did a race with Matt for majors here, so I was at least used to the track. So again, I just spent a lot of time practicing this week, so I think that paid off.
So you guys had a solid finish there in MTech when you raced here as well, but um, yeah, just looking at the upcoming schedule, we got a week off next week, but then we go to, I believe it's Okayama after that. What are your thoughts looking ahead?
That's a track that I haven't really done too much many laps on and too much time, so I'll be spending some time learning over the break here and try to get a car that'll keep Tim and I in the our design car Mercedes moving forward.
Well, hey, it's a good looking car. We're used to seeing those stripes on them out here. So hey, congratulations on the M Class win. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Just my partner Tim. Thanks so much for all the hard work and teammate.
Well, hey, congratulations on the win and best of luck the rest of the way.
Hey, thanks.
That's Kevin Fanning, your AM Class winner here tonight. And we got one more interview. The driver that had quite the adventurous journey here tonight, but Sarah, you ended up with a second place finish after your little steering mishap. Were you surprised by the result?
Yeah, I mean, case of shoulda, woulda, coulda. That seems to be the situation for majority of my races now. I think no, I barely got past. Can't remember Taylor when he was in first, so I was like, oh, okay, I should have a gap to, you know, uh, pull away from Blake and Ray because they were doing the undercut, and looking back on it now, they were losing a bunch of time and would have definitely had it. Yeah, maybe next time.
Now it looked like from the onboard perspective when we watched the replay, it looked like your wheel might have just completely disconnected. Is that what happened there?
So all I can remember was because I'm in VR, my VR went black or blue for a second, and wheel turned itself left full lock, and then it reappeared. Um, so I don't know what happened. Definitely didn't disconnect, but no force feedback for that final 20 minutes.
Oh no.
I mean, not as bad as when I did 8 hours during 24 hours of Le Mans with no force feedback. So
Oh geez. No, thank you.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you've had quite the adventurous season so far. I mean, even in today's sprint, you had your spin and unfortunately collected the wall. But I mean, you worked your way up from the last in the field to second here, and
Yeah.
you had your fueling issue and a couple of other issues last week. But you got a
Mhm.
week off to get your feet back under you before we go to Okayama. What are your thoughts looking ahead?
A lot of have to catch up on a bunch of personal work in that. So okay, I'm gonna try to grind out the same amount of laps. The routine that I've been doing this time for this series is working out a whole lot better. So I think, get a week off just to kind of relax, do maybe some sprints or something, get back in the mindset and, hopefully work towards that elusive first, just like it was in MTech.
Yeah, I mean that was a great great season from you over there, and it was so much fun to watch you there, and it's great to have you in the series here to represent the Audis at the top of the podium. But we were talking to Blake about it. Is there something in the Audi that maybe you have a little bit of an advantage? Because it looked like even with your damage, you were able to catch up to him a little bit.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's far beyond my understanding. I just drive the car, and that's really it. People say, talk about the setup changes, and then I'm like, okay, and then I just drive it.
Yeah, that's like me. I don't know how to drive it, so I just talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think what Ray and I were talking about was the Merc didn't have as good as the brakes as the Audi. That's where, it was probably Audi, Ferrari, BMW, and then Merc at the last. So I think that might have been it. But I don't know fully.
Yeah, well, hey, second's not a bad result for how your entire race went, and
Mm.
hopefully we get a better result next time out there.
Yep, let's hope for that.
Anybody you want to thank? Any shout outs for you?
Definitely the team. My team putting on a good performance as usual. maybe, or Blake and I had a good fight, I think, during the sprint race. Blake and I kept it clean. So, shout out to him. And then, um, you know, helping us, helping us out, giving us some good material to work with for liveries and that.
Yeah, it was it's a good looking car. You got even more red for me this time, so
More red. Yeah.
that's all you needed to do, and maybe a little more red will put you up to the front of the field next time. But no,
Yeah.
congratulations on the second place finish, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you then. Thank you.
That's Sarah Rabbit, your second place finisher overall here tonight, and it was a fantastic bit of racing here, and these drivers kept it mostly clean for 45 minutes. So for everybody here that helps us put this thing on, whether it's our sponsors at Penguin RC, Josh Mertz, who kind of helps run the show here, Ray Kingsbury, and Kieran Forrest, the competition director. Who else is there? We got everybody on our review panels that help put this thing on as well. Zack Johnson putting these graphics packages together. But for everybody here at the Automotive Sports Network, as well as everybody at NASA and all of our fantastic sponsors, we will see you Monday night for some fantastic rallycross racing. So don't forget to check that out Monday night right here on ASN TV USA. But until next time, for Matt Kingsbury as well, I'm Chad, and we will see you in a couple weeks from